Part 1. The Echoing Cart. Alex Thompson, a mid-30s IT consultant with a perpetual hunch from too many hours hunched over laptops, pulled his battered Ford into the ever-open market sprawling car park just after midnight. The rain, a relentless Manchester staple, drummed on his windscreen like accusatory fingertips, blurring the neon sign that buzzed erratically through the thick mist. The suburbs here, a maze of terraced houses and industrial estates, always felt more isolated at night. The kind of place where streetlights cast long, judgmental shadows, and the wind carried distant train whistles like forgotten cries. He'd procrastinated this shop all evening. Work had been a slog of debugging code and placating clients, leaving him drained and craving nothing more than a quick grab of essentials to tide him over until morning. Hugging into his raincoat, Alex dashed across the slick tarmac, puddles splashing under his trainers. The automatic doors hissed open with a pneumatic sigh, welcoming him into the store's sterile embrace. The air inside was a cloying mix of damp linoleum, faint bleach from recent moppings, and the underlying tang of overripe fruit from the produce section. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead, casting a pallid glow that made the endless aisles feel like desolate hospital corridors. He snatched a trolley from the rack, its wheels emitting a faint, rhythmic squeak that echoed unnaturally loud in the near-empty space. Heading first to the bakery, Alex scanned the depleted shelves for wholemeal bread, his mind wandering to the stack of unread emails waiting at home. That's when he spotted the man, tall and lanky, clad in a hooded anorak beaded with rain, pushing a trolley that mirrored his own down to the scuffed plastic handle and the stubborn wobble in the left front wheel. The stranger idled by the baguettes, lifting one as if inspecting it, then placing it back, his actions syncing perfectly with Alex's as he selected a loaf. A coincidence, surely, Alex thought, but a subtle unease stirred, like the first twinge of a headache. Moving to the dairy fridges, the cool air wafting out carried a milky chill that seeped into his bones. He grabbed a pint of semi-skimmed, and peripherally, the man did the same, his silhouette shifting in the reflective glass doors. Alex's neck prickled. He'd recently skimmed articles about identity theft rings operating in urban areas. Scammers who studied victims' habits to clone their lives. Was this paranoia from too many late-night Reddit scrolls? He quickened his step to the snack aisle, snatching a packet of digestive biscuits, the crinkle of the wrapper loud in the silence. Behind him, the man's trolley echoed, halting precisely when Alex did. Then came the hum, a low, melodic whistle drifting over the shelves, a tune buried in Alex's childhood memories, his grand's lullaby, sung during stormy nights in their old council flat, the notes now twisted and eerie. His heart thumped harder, a drumbeat against his ribs. Alex veered around a towering display of crisps, stealing a glance back. The man was closer, his face partially obscured by the hood, but his eyes glinted with an unnatural sharpness, the humming growing louder, more insistent. Glancing down, Alex froze. His trolley held duplicates, a second pint of milk, extra biscuits he hadn't touched, even a crumpled receipt identical to one from his pocket. "What the bloody hell?" he muttered under his breath, his voice cracking slightly as he dumped the extras onto a nearby shelf, their thud echoing like accusations. The man was nearer now, close enough for Alex to smell the damp wool of his coat mingled with something metallic, like old pennies. "Forgotten something?" the stranger rasped, his voice a gravelly mimicry of Alex's own Midlands lilt, laced with a mocking undertone. Alex stiffened, adrenaline surging. "Do I know you from somewhere?" The man's lips curled into a thin, knowing smile, revealing uneven teeth. "Better than you think, mate. I'm the part you left behind, the forgotten self, the one who remembers what you buried." His trolley was an exact replica now, every item aligned, down to the faint smudge on the milk carton. Panic clawed at Alex's throat. Memories flooded back of his grand's warnings about doppelgangers, old folklore she'd spun during those lullaby sessions. He abandoned the trolley with a clatter, bolting toward the exit, his footsteps slapping wetly on the floor. The doors parted to the pouring rain, cold droplets stinging his face like needles. But as he glimpsed his reflection in the rain-streaked window, horror rooted him. It wasn't fleeing, it was calmly pushing a trolley. Lips pursed in that damned whistle. What if the stranger wasn't lying? What if the real Alex was the echo, lost in the mist? The thought lingered as he drove home, the rain-smeared streets blurring like his fracturing sense of self. Part 2. Whispers in the Produce. Sarah Ellis, a 28-year-old freelance illustrator with ink-stained fingers and a portfolio full of whimsical sketches, pushed her way into the ever-open market under a brooding slate-gray sky. Thunder grumbled in the distance like an approaching argument, the late afternoon dampness clinging to her woolen scarf and making the air feel heavy, almost suffocating. Manchester's weather had a way of mirroring her moods, today's storm brewing just as her thoughts churned over the recent breakup with Tom, a graphic designer who'd left her with more questions than closures. Fuzzy memories of arguments by a lake, a blue dress she'd worn that day, now stuffed in the back of her wardrobe. He'd come for mundane comforts, carrots and peppers for a stir-fry, apples to sketch under her desk lamp later, their curves a distraction from the emotional fog. The produce section greeted her with its earthy aroma, damp soil from root veggies, the sweet rot of overripe bananas, all under the harsh glare of overhead lights that buzzed like trapped insects. She squeezed a tomato, its skin yielding softly, juice threatening to burst, when a whisper sliced through the air. "Sarah, remember the blue dress? The one with the tear from the thorns?" Her head jerked up, ponytail whipping, but the aisle was empty save for stacks of fruit gleaming like jewels. Was it the wind rattling the vents, or her overactive imagination, fueled by sleepless nights doodling heartbreak? Shrugging it off, she moved to the onions, their papery skins rustling as she bagged a few, the sharp scent stinging her eyes. Another murmur. Closer this time. The lake. The argument. "He never told you about the calls, did he? The hidden letter in his drawer?" The voice traced to an elderly woman by the pears, her gnarled hands, veined like cracked porcelain, arranging the fruit with meticulous care. Her coat was sodden, patches dark from the rain, and her eyes were milky, unfocused, as if gazing into another world. Sarah's skin crawled. How could this stranger know about the dress? The lake trip where Tom's phone had buzzed incessantly, secrets she'd buried to move on. A subplot of her art therapy session surfaced, her therapist urging her to confront repressed memories. But this felt too real, too invasive. "Excuse me?" Sarah ventured, her voice steady but laced with tension, like a taut sketch wire. The woman didn't lift her head, just continued sorting, whispering once more. "Next, you'll reach for the carrots, for the eyes you can't see, the truths hidden in plain sight." Unbidden, Sarah's hand drifted toward the orange bundles, fingers brushing their feathery tops. She yanked back, heart racing like a frantic pencil stroke. The mirrors mounted on the aisle pillars caught her eye, reflections showing extra shadows darting behind her, humanoid shapes that evaporated when she spun around, leaving only the faint scent of ozone, like burnt wiring. The whispers intensified, weaving fragments of her past, Tom's late-night calls to an unknown number, a letter she'd glimpsed but never read. Words like love and sorry blurred in her mind's eye. Dread sharpened her senses. The thunder outside cracked like breaking glass as forgotten fights resurfaced, raw and vivid. "Who are you, really?" she demanded, stepping closer, her boots scuffing the floor. The woman finally met her gaze, lips curling into a serpentine smile, teeth yellowed like aged paper. "The voice you silenced, dear, the one in your sketches you erase at dawn. Remember now, before it's too late?" Lightning illuminated the store in stark flashes as Sarah fled the aisle, abandoning her basket with a clatter of rolling apples. In her car, rain lashing the roof like tears, she twisted the radio knob for white noise. Static hissed, then cleared to that same whisper. The blue dress waits in the wardrobe, stained with what you forgot. Was it all a hallucination from grief? Or had the market's shadows awakened something that trailed her home, lurking in every quiet moment? The storm raged on, but the real tempest was inside, unraveling her one murmur at a time. Part 3. The Lost Isle. Jamie Harper, a 35-year-old single dad with calloused hands from his construction job, and a heart still scarred from losing his brother in a car crash 2 years ago, herded his 5-year-old son Max through the bustling, ever-open market on a crisp Saturday midday. Overhead announcements crackled like static-laced warnings, echoing through the labyrinthine aisles packed with shoppers, families with overflowing trolleys, elderly couples debating prices, the air thick with the mingled scents of spices from the international food section, faint dust from the hardware shelves, and the sweet undertone of bakery goods wafting from afar. Max, with his mop of curly hair and boundless energy, tugged at Jamie's hand, chattering excitedly about the toy section they'd promised to visit, his small trainers squeaking on the polished floor. Jamie's mind wandered to his late brother Ryan, the one who'd always been the fun uncle, teaching Max card tricks and sharing stories of their childhood adventures. Grief was a constant companion, a shadow that made even crowded places feel isolating, amplified by Jamie's unspoken guilt over not being there that fateful night. They veered into the household goods aisle, shelves towering with cleaning supplies and kitchenware, the metallic tang of aerosol cans hanging in the air. Max darted ahead, laughing, "Catch me, Dad." Jamie chuckled, "Stay close, bud." But when he looked up from checking his shopping list on his phone, Max was gone, vanished around the bend like a wisp of smoke. Panic flickered in Jamie's chest. Kids wandered, but this felt different. A cold grip, like the moment he'd heard about Ryan's accident. He rounded the corner, expecting to hear giggles or see Max's bright jacket, but instead found an unmarked aisle he'd never noticed before, despite shopping here weekly. It was dimly lit, the lights flickering with a yellowish hue, shelves lined with odd, outdated items, dusty board games from the 80s with faded boxes, yellowed photos in cracked frames depicting strangers in vintage clothes. The air cooler here, carrying a musty scent like an attic long sealed. At the aisle's end, Max stood transfixed amid a group of silent figures, all turning slowly toward Jamie with mechanical precision. Their faces, they were eerily familiar. Ryan's sharp jaw and mischievous eyes, Aunt Eileen's kind wrinkles, even Gran's silver bun, but distorted. Eyes too still and glassy, smiles stretched unnaturally wide like masks. "Max, come here right now," Jamie commanded, his voice edged with fear, echoing oddly as if the aisle absorbed sound. The Ryan figure knelt, whispering something to Max, who nodded eagerly, his little face lighting up. Time distorted, Jamie glanced at his watch. The hands ticked backward, minutes unraveling like thread, heightening his guilt subplot, flashbacks to the crash, his last words to Ryan. "Drive safe," now ringing hollow. "Join us, Jamie," the figures chorused, voices overlapping in eerie harmony, like a choir from a nightmare. "We've been waiting. Max belongs here too." The air grew heavier, pressing on his chest as Max took a tentative step forward, hand outstretched. Adrenaline surged. Jamie lunged, scooping Max up in a bear hug, the boy's warmth grounding him amid the chill. The aisle shimmered like heat haze, walls wavering as they backed out, the figures' smiles fading into shadows. Back under the brighter main lights, the store's bustle resumed, shoppers oblivious. Max seemed fine, giggling about toys, but later at home, a cozy semi-detached with Ryan's old photos on the mantel. Unpacking their bags, Max looked up with eyes not quite his own, and said in Ryan's voice, "Why didn't you save me that night, bro?" Jamie's blood ran cold. He dug out an old family album from the loft, dust motes dancing in the lamplight. Flipping through, horror mounted. The photos were altered, extra faces grinning from backgrounds, the same watchers from the aisle, their eyes following him across the page. Had they escaped the market? or brought a piece of that lost world back, embedding it in their lives like a curse. Part 4. Shadows on the Till. Riley Patel, a 22-year-old university dropout working nights to fund her music dreams, wiped down the counter at the ever-open market as thick fog pressed against the vast windows like a living entity. Early morning traffic hummed faintly from Manchester's arterial roads, a distant reminder of the waking world. But inside, the store was a tomb of solitude, the empty aisles creaking like ancient timber, overhead lights buzzing with intermittent flickers that cast jittery shadows. Insomnia had been her unwelcome companion for months, blurring the line between wakefulness and dreams. Her nights filled with half-remembered terrors of falling into bottomless voids, amplified by the isolation of these shifts. He adjusted her name tag, the plastic cool against her skin, and scanned the security mirrors mounted above the till. Convex glass, reflecting distorted views of the store. That's when the first anomaly appeared. A vague silhouette by the magazine racks, tall and indistinct, like a smudge on the lens. Riley turned sharply, her ponytail swinging, but the spot was empty, only the rustle of glossy pages in the draft. "Just tired eyes," she muttered, rubbing them. But the unease lingered, her subplot of night terrors surfacing. Dreams, where shadows whispered her deepest fears. Failure as a singer. Abandonment by friends who'd moved on. Tea happened again by the chilled drinks cabinet, a shape flitting in the mirror's edge, gone when she looked directly. Then notes began appearing, scribbled on crumpled receipts left on the counter. "You dream of falling endlessly. Pay up for the landing." The handwriting was spidery, unfamiliar, sending chills down her spine. Was this a prank from a coworker, or her mind fracturing under sleep deprivation? The lights flickered more aggressively, plunging the store into strobe-like pulses, revealing multiple shadows on the tiled floor. Elongated forms converging toward the till like fingers reaching out. The figure materialized incrementally, closer each flicker. Faceless, shimmering like oil on water, insistent in its approach. Riley's breath hitched. The air grew colder, carrying a metallic tang like blood. "What do you want from me?" she whispered, voice trembling, clutching the counter's edge until her knuckles whitened. A voice echoed back, disembodied and resonant. "Sins unpaid. Riley. The songs you silenced, the souls you fear. Confess or join us." Shadows encircled her, tendrils brushing her ankles like icy breaths, dredging up memories. A botched audition, lies to her family about dropping out. Panic crested like a wave. Riley bolted for the exit, the fog outside swallowing the store's glow as she burst through the doors, gulping the damp air. At her cramped flat share, collapsing into bed under the steady hum of her fan, she sought solace in sleep. But glancing at the bathroom mirror in the dim light, horror seized her. Not her weary reflection stared back, but the shadow, patient and waiting, its form solidifying. How long until it demanded payment in full, pulling her into the void she dreaded. Part 5. The Fading Lights. Elara Voss, a 20-year-old literature student with a penchant for Gothic novels and a part-time job to pay off her mounting uni fees, clocked in for her evening shift at the ever-open market as the sun surrendered to Manchester's skyline, streaking the horizon in bruised purples and deepening grays. The store sprawled like a behemoth, its aisles echoing with the fading clatter of daytime trolleys and the soft, rhythmic beeps of scanners winding down. These twilight hours always carried an undercurrent of melancholy for her, the customer trickle leaving vast emptiness, the air conditioning whispering like pages turning in a forbidden book. Tonight, a sharper chill permeated, as if the central heating had conspired with the encroaching dusk, and Elara pulled her uniform vest tighter, the fabric rough against her skin. Tarting in the stockroom, she sorted boxes under stark strip lights that hummed with a faint electrical whine, the scent of cardboard dust mingling with the stale coffee brewing in the adjacent break area. A portable radio crackled softly, playing indie tracks interspersed with static, doing little to dispel the isolation. Her flatmate's warnings echoed in her mind. Things get proper weird when it's quiet. Lights playing tricks, shadows moving. Elara had laughed it off as urban legend fodder, but as she wheeled a heavy pallet of canned goods onto the main floor, the overhead bulbs dimmed subtly, casting elongated shadows that writhed across the glossy tiles like inky veins. The first peculiarity struck in the electronics section, where screens flickered with demo videos of serene landscapes. A customer, or so she thought, stood motionless by the TVs, back turned, silhouette etched sharply against the glowing displays, emanating a faint static hum. "Can I help you find something, sir?" Elara called, her voice cutting through the quiet, trainers squeaking as she approached. No reply. The figure blurred at the edges, like a watercolor bleeding in rain. Rounding the display, she found only empty space, but a lingering ozone smell hung heavy, as if a fuse had shorted nearby, prickling her nostrils. Shaken, but rationalizing it as fatigue, Elara pressed on with restocking, stacking tins with mechanical precision. The lights flickered again, more insistently now, plunging aisles into momentary blackness before snapping back, each pulse quickening her pulse. Her subplot of vivid dreams resurfaced, nightmares of labyrinthine corridors where lights extinguished one by one, trapping her in suffocating dark. Echoes of her fear of failure in her studies, of being lost in life's maze. Glancing up, the security camera's red dots blinked steadily, but her phone buzzed erratically. No signal, the screen glitching to show her face distorted, eyes hollow like in those dreams. In the home goods aisle, mirrors on display caught the chaos, reflections stretching the store unnaturally long, and in one ornate frame a faint outline hovered behind her own image, mimicking her every gesture with eerie precision. The flickering escalated, whole sections blinking out like dying stars. Elara's breath came in shallow gasps. In the frozen food section, the figure reappeared, closer, turning slowly with a shimmer like desert mirage. Its voice crackled like faulty wiring. "Closing time approaches. Elara, what regrets will you leave flickering in the dark?" The store plunged into strobing shadows, revealing glimpses of multiple figures, ethereal echoes of past shoppers, their forms translucent, eyes voids of endless night. They advanced, murmuring litanies of forgotten woes, her strained call with her mum last week, the essay she'd procrastinated, dreams deferred. Panic propelled her forward, the air thickening like syrup, exit doors seeming to retreat. She burst into the foggy night, lungs burning, the market's glow fading behind like a closing book. Back in her uni dorm, under the reliable glow of her desk lamp, Elara tried to dismiss it as hallucination, burying herself in a novel. But as she caught her reflection in the window pane, the lights in that mirrored world began fading, one by one, shadows creeping in. How much longer until the darkness from the market eclipsed her reality entirely, leaving only echoes? Part 6. The Silent Checkout. Marcus Kane, a 32-year-old warehouse supervisor with broad shoulders from heavy lifting and a temper simmering like his unresolved rose with his girlfriend Lena, navigated the ever-open market during the evening rush hour. Manchester's streets outside teemed with commuters splashing through residual puddles from an afternoon downpour, horns blaring in impatience. Inside, the store pulsed with life, trolleys clanging like discordant cymbals, shoppers' chatter layering over the tinny pop music piping from speakers, the air a heady brew of fresh-baked bread, synthetic floor polish, and the faint ozone from the storm. Our buds firmly in, Marcus drowned it all in a true crime podcast, voices droning about unsolved mysteries as he grabbed his staples, a six-pack of lager, bags of crisps, a microwave curry for one. His mind replayed the morning's spat with Lena, harsh words about his long hours, her feeling neglected, tensions bubbling from his reluctance to open up about his dad's abandonment years ago. This subplot of bottled emotions made him tunnel-visioned, oblivious at first to the peculiar hush enveloping him as he approached the self-service checkouts. Noise faded unnaturally, as if a volume knob twisted down. The beeps muffled, conversations distant echoes underwater. Pulling out an earbud, Marcus frowned. The sudden quiet oppressive, pressing on his eardrums like cotton wool. At the kiosk, he scanned items, the screen glitching faintly under his calloused fingers. Beside him, a woman at another machine looped her actions, bagging the same tin of beans repeatedly, movements jerky like a broken animatronic. He swiped his card, the printer jammed, ejecting a receipt with scrawled gibberish, words unspoken. "Pay the price for silence." Crumpling it in his fist, Marcus's heart stuttered. A glitch, or something more? The crowd around seemed suspended, mid-stride, faces pivoted toward him with vacant stares, mouths agape but voiceless. The silence deepened, absolute, swallowing his footsteps as he headed for the doors, each step echoing only in his head. His phone vibrated wildly. No bars, screen looping missed calls from Lena, timestamps reversing like a countdown. Internal whispers amplified his regrets. "You never listen. She'll walk out, just like Dad." Terror mounting, the aisles elongated, doors mirage-like in the distance. In the confectionery section, the quiet shattered briefly, a lone voice overhead. His own distorted, "It's not my fault. I didn't mean it." Figures in his periphery mimed silent dialogues, lips syncing accusations, hands extending to brush his arms like ghostly judgments. Marcus whirled, confronting a promotional mirror, his reflection mouthed unspoken barbs from the fight, gesturing furiously, eyes pleading. The throng closed in wordlessly, a mute mob, fingers grazing his jacket like indictments. He sprinted, the layout warping, funneling him back to the checkout where his unpurchased goods waited accusingly. Gasping, he shoved through the exit, sound crashing back. Car horns, rain's patter, life's cacophony. At his flat, he dialed Lena, apologies spilling out in a torrent, voice cracking with relief. But midway, her response glitched, words unspoken. "Pay the price." He disconnected, staring at his reflection in the rain-streaked window. It remained silent, lips forming regrets he'd never voiced. When would the hush return, claiming him utterly, leaving only the echo of what he failed to say? As these tales intertwine, the ever-open market stands as a nexus of the uncanny, where Manchester's fog-shrouded nights blur the ordinary into nightmare. The protagonists, forever changed, glance over shoulders, wondering if the echoes, whispers, and shadows will converge, drawing them back into the aisle's embrace.